Let's dive into this new moon in Scorpio happening right at the beginning of November, just after the spookiest time of the year. It is pretty appropriate that we have this new moon in Scorpio at this time. So now we get to look at it and then say, what can we do with it? First, we're going to dive into the chart. Okay, so this is the chart we've got. As usual, it is a new moon, so the sun and the moon are conjunct with each other at 9 degrees of Scorpio and 35 minutes. Now, the first thing we're going to note is that the moon is in Scorpio. This is not the moon's favorite place to be. This is the sign of the moon's fall. And it happens every year, so it's nothing necessarily to be worried about or afraid of. This is just something to note that the moon is not going to be mooning as her usual self in this space. So what we're looking at is the moon and the sun being the ones in Scorpio, with Mercury at the tail end here, still having some Scorpio influence. And the only planets that are really looking at them are Saturn. They have a trine with Saturn, which is giving us a structured approach to this. Saturn is retrograde in Pisces. So really, we're just seeing that there may be some feelings of restriction, some desire to structure, some desire to rebuild our own foundations with this from a deep place. We are in Scorpio, right? So that is a fixed water sign. And so that really brings a depth to our emotions. That brings unearthing things that may be stuck, the soil that is really tough and needs to be tilled a little bit. That is what we are doing with this new moon. And we're beginning that process as it is a new moon. So there's a lot of healing that is involved and a lot of new beginning that comes into this event for us energetically. The moon is ruled by Mars. Mars is up here at the very last degree of Cancer, also the sign of Mars's fall. So we're seeing both planets here not feeling so great. This is a time where I would say we want to really be careful of how we're talking, give yourself a breath before reacting to something. And it's also a time to know that if you don't have a ton of energy to put towards things, there's not a lot of energy around. So it's not necessarily you failing if you're not feeling a ton of gumption right now. You are feeling what the energy is offering. And so you are working with that. And that is okay. Rest is fine. And doing a lot of internal work is fine with this one. Mars is getting ready at this anaretic degree, which is just a fancy word for saying the last degree of a sign. Mars is getting ready to finally move into Leo, but it doesn't happen quite yet. So we do still have a fallen Mars ruling this fallen new moon. And with that, Mars is having this opposition with Pluto. And you can see it's a really tight one. They're both at that 29-degree mark because Pluto is getting ready to move back into Aquarius later in November. So again, that's emphasizing more deep work. We see this repeated like an echo, right? So this chart is really saying, hey, we're doing deep work today. Hey, we're doing deep work today. Hey, we are doing deep work today. Don't be afraid to look in the closet at this point. Don't be afraid to let the skeletons out, or at least shine a flashlight in, because that is kind of what we're doing. And so with this, one of the things that I'm feeling is that we're doing deep work. We're doing rebirth and regeneration of ourselves. And we're facing some inner demons and cleaning out the skeletons in the closet. This is something that we do periodically in life. It may not be the most comfortable thing that we do, but it leads to really incredible things on the other side of it. So I definitely recommend, if you're feeling it, don't necessarily lean into it and try to push yourself too much. Let yourself feel. Let yourself process. Let yourself acknowledge, and then allow that to gracefully go through. One of the affirmations that I have for this is, I am willing to become the best version of myself. I am willing to become the best version of myself. And that is what I have to look forward to on the other side of this experience. Ways that you can do this more actively is to do limiting belief work. Write down things that you notice yourself saying that you don't really necessarily want to believe, like, I'm afraid of this, I can't do that, I'm not enough, all of those things. And then you can decide, I am enough. Then you can decide, fear is showing me something and I want to pay attention to that. And I want to see if this is something that does require my caution. And then other things like that. So list what you notice yourself thinking, and then decide if you like that you're thinking that. And if you're not, decide what you would rather think and rather feel. And that can be a really great introduction to limiting belief work that you can do right away. So this is our new moon in Scorpio. It is that time of year. So it's okay to be, taking it easy, to be watching comfort shows and things like that. But I hope that this energy finds you well, and that you find the best transformation and all the most amazing things on the other side of any work that you are doing. Have a fantastic new moon.